I could never really comprehend why there's people that don't have an awakening. As myself, I'm kind of thankful for the MGTOW and then the Black Pill, because I kind of got to see a different point of view in the world that might not make sense to anybody. And that's okay. A lot of people would never recognize that the world is extremely cultish. As what I meant in yesterday's video is basically I don't fully agree with praising a lot of individuals that might have a lot of power because it's been given to them and it's been praised like narcissistic individuals. But unfortunately, these narcissistic people have a specific charm that they end up becoming on top. But the sooner or later, you begin to realize that it doesn't even matter if you leave this particular cold world, even though you still have to live in it. You just don't care. You lose that particular concern because there's not because you can't do anything against it. It's not even worth the time, the energy, the worries, or that stress that you put yourself. And this is why I'm kind of glad I had like a lot of awakenings lately and a little bit of a spiritual. And also I can kind of tell you my story. So it started back even in middle school. Like I remember in middle school I tried to fit in as much as I could, but it didn't work out. And that's when I realized, not just Jester Max, being goofy, because, I didn't have the popular traits of, they call him Chaz Tyrone Rodriguez. That's when I realized that in the 7th grade, I should have never acted the way I was, because that's not my that's not my natural, organic personality. That was just an artificial personality. And other things played out. I was super religious, so trying to fit in, being as a religious kid never worked out. And the Jester Max did really kill the vibe because people didn't take me seriously. But anyway, I started to notice a lot of things. It's just I don't fit in the crowd. I don't really have a particular interest. Like I don't care to mock. I don't care to show off. And I think that's why people didn't really see me as worthy of a friend or worthy of a boyfriend. Not just because of looks or height. Because honestly, in my particular town, there are good-looking people, but it's like 0.2% of the population. Everybody's just normal, above average. Obviously, the girls can kind of get away with it because they use makeup, they use tactics to kind of manipulate their looks or the beauty, which makes people believe that they're beautiful. But when I got to see them close hand and notice some of these one thing about me is I can analyze, I can observe, and I noticed a lot of these girls were using makeup to begin with, because after the makeup was off, that specific beauty glow was not in them anymore. There were only like 1 or 2 girls that I would consider true Stacy's, but let's face it, in my town, it's very rare. The lifestyle and the habits that we have here is very unhealthy. People don't really seem to really put too much effort into their meals or into their nutrition. Even though the ones that work out, I can tell that they don't really follow all the protocols of nutrition. But anyway, that's when I kind of didn't really care anymore in high school. Yeah, like I knew the girlfriend was never coming to begin with, so it was kind of over for me at that point. And the only girls that I got, like one time, one girl did ask me out, but obviously that was a no-no. She was not really particularly mentally fit or physically fit. Not saying that she was like slow or anything. I think she was a little crazy, but that's another story for another video. So back technically in high school, I started having a lot of awakenings, small awakenings. It's just I never realized it was kind of like my spiritual side waking up to a lot of things, and I just didn't see it because I was kind of depressed at the time because of the religion. For you guys, if you guys are wondering, I used to be part of Jehovah's Witness, or they call it the Watchtower, and a little bit about them. They don't celebrate holidays. They don't do birthdays. In the time when I was in it, teenage love was no longer acceptable. It was declined because they believed that it was a way to sin. They were scared that you were going to have intimacy before marriage, and that was going to lead you to not only to sin, but sin against God. So it was like There is a lot of rules against me, which I have to make another video because it's very long. So yeah, if you don't know who they really are, you can look them up, or they're known as the people that come into your door on Saturday morning, knock, and try to spread the word of God, or they're known as to be outside of the grocery stores with the little cards. But if it wasn't for the religion, I think I would have been waking up a lot sooner. But obviously, I was in a cold too. But one thing I've learned is I don't belong in the crowd. I never will. We're just unique individuals, and this is why I agree with some of us saying that we need to make our own societies, because honestly, now that I have more opportunities, more freedom, I just don't fit in anywhere. I don't like the people that want to be my friends. Why? It's like I don't agree with their lifestyles. I don't fully agree with their way of thinking now. Now that I'm free, now that I'm mentally free, like I have my mental freedom, I don't care about marriage. I would never submit to marriage. I think it's slavery. Once you get married, you're going to be enslaved your entire life. That's why I don't really want to participate in this particular lifestyle. Like I've said, once you're in your 30s, things start to change. Even women's perspective change. And sometimes you can be humble. You're like, I'll just have to let it go because I used to think in my 20s is immaturity. But here's the thing though. Marriage, they don't last long. Now that we have the gadgets, now we have all these typical influencers. They can influence people. And I'm like, I'd rather save the slack, not go through a divorce and lose all my things. I just want to have a peaceful, relaxing lifestyle. And I'm just thinking about retirement. Like I want to live somewhere where I'm great and I can afford it and I have no other issues with it. Second of all, don't get me wrong. I did want to have I did crave to have a kid. I wanted to create a family, but in today's world, I don't even think it's very healthy to have kids because there's so much influence out there that can be a negative way for your kids. And on top of that, the economy is not doing quite so well. You have to work 2 or 3 jobs, and these kids need structure. They need support, emotional support. And if you want your kids to succeed, you have to be there when it's important, when it's basically certain hours. And yeah, you can see, you can work passion for it, and then you can be with your kids. But here's the thing though, you want to provide not just a house, clothing, and food, but you want to provide a good education. In my case, I wanted my kids to go to private school or somewhere where they can learn to develop critical thinking, learn about other things that regular schools do not really teach you, but that's expensive. Right now, I'm doing okay for myself. I have to work a lot of hours, so I don't even have the time. See, I don't even have the time to spend time with my dogs. Let's make it easy for you. Imagine having a kid, and on top of that, you don't even know if your girlfriend, partner, wife, whatever could have went wrong, if I would have really accepted some of these girls that wanted to marry me. We could have already went separate ways mentally, because let's say you got excited for the beginning part of the relationship, then things started to slowly die out because you got to see who you're really dealing with, and you're not compatible, and then she might have a hatred against you. Like I said, once girls have given birth, they do change, mentally. Maybe she can end up hating you and then manipulating the kids against you, or you don't agree with her ways of teaching or raising the kids, but it's going to be a very difficult battle to win with. So that's why for me, having kids, I don't really want to have them anymore, because it's a very difficult task. It's a big responsibility. And more if we have a boy now, because boys are starting to, we're extremely not targeted, but we don't even know our real identity anymore. We have lost, and I'm not talking about just masculinity, I'm talking about everything in general. Men are starting to lose a lot of our identity. We lost a lot of our traditions, and this is not just because men became more emasculated, but it's basically we lost that motivation. But I don't know, that's just me. This is why the friends that I have, they're all family, related, and I have nothing to really be compatible with. First of all, none of all my friends travel. When I hang out with them, what do we talk about? Nothing interesting. We just gossip. That makes me, I don't know, that leads me to believe that I'm hanging out with the wrong crowd. Because when I'm hanging out with these couples, children, gossiping about others, nothing productive, just plain simple negativity. And then I don't even know how to contribute to that conversation because I don't even have kids of my own. I have never been married. I have never had any bad experiences. Well, I have bad experiences with my relationship, but nothing related to theirs. And this is where I'm like, I don't even know how you even became friends with. That's why, like, I don't even have that desire to go online anymore and play video games because I don't have nothing to really speak about. Not because I truly, I'm not a, I do appreciate their friendship. It's just that I'm starting to really see the different patterns. There's like nothing really to talk about. It's just daily life problems, and I don't want to keep talking about that. I want to talk about something of a more positive energy or something that can motivate me. I don't want to feel depressed all the time. I don't want to feel this. So that's why, I started to see that not only I don't belong here in the Midwest, I have to really go somewhere where I can really feel, or at least meet some people that have similar interests. So I've been having, like I've said, I had a lot of awakenings, even in high school. I just didn't take fully advantage of it. Now that I'm kind of noticing, I would have never really done the things that I would have done in my early 20s, but it was basically I was too scared to wake up, rebel, because I was living this false narrative that I have to follow the crowd so I can be accepted. When I mean the crowd, like the typical normal society, college, graduate, work, have your own things, and try to have a girlfriend, try to have kids or whatever, and then your friends talk about normal stuff like sports, your favorite whatever. So what is my awakening? Basically, this world is superficial. A lot of things are temporary. People are not very happy as what they claim to be. When I mean people are not happy, it is kind of true though, because let's face it, I do have a friend that is not particularly happy. He's kind of in between regret, but at the same time, he's not going to be able to deal with being single or being alone because he's depending so much on emotional support for his happiness. And he knows that getting married has a big risk financially. But he decided to marry because he can no longer take the torment that he was going to be alone or didn't know how to really deal with that. In Passion Traveler's case, he learned his spiritual side. He learned more things about him, and this is why I feel so much happier. I'm mentally free. And the last time I had an opportunity, and I was still a little bit mixed up. I was like beginning the process of mixed up, but I needed to figure it out if this was the correct way. So I tried dating one more time, and guess what happened? Things went wrong once again. And this is like the perfect opportunity. And I remember Batman mentioned this before, even though I don't have like this, like, I don't have like a Christian faith or anything, but he was saying, or I think it was like a stream he did with the Beta Male Police, which shout outs to him as well, where sometimes when you desire something, it might come out true, but it's like a double trap or double-edged sword or whatever. For me, it was just a test to make sure that, I had to make a very wise choice before things can go wrong. So when I met this girl, and I do remember, she wasn't like a Stacy, but she was like my looks match, something that I could be really proud of ever meeting someone. And I thought this was my perfect opportunity, actually. So we started like talking to each other. We went on a couple dates, and we started to, progress little by little. But it was too good to be true. So what happened? Oh, here's the thing. She was pretty good looking. Not like what you guys consider a Stacy, but she was, like I said, in my town, it's like average. But, decent looking girl. Maybe a little bit overweight, but I don't really care for that. At the time, I didn't really care, because honestly, you can fix that. She was single, no kids. She had a job. She seemed quite successful, but I noticed a lot of things about her. One, she had narcissistic traits, because one thing about them is they're always praising their accomplishment. Like if it's something to not only praise themselves above you or above me, but it's like trying to like break me. She wanted to break me. For some odd reason, she tried to like always put herself on top of me, and then not put me down on purpose, but like, despite I was working, I had money saved or anything, I was doing pretty good for myself. She always tried to like make it seem like she was more important, she was more wiser, she was more of this. If we were going to be together, she was going to become the brains out of the relationship, because she thought herself she was more wise. First of all, the age. She was a little bit 3 years older than me. Yeah, like she had a job, she had a house, but basically it's just a normal, decent house. I needed a little bit of work, nothing to be super proud of. But she always told herself that she was successful. That's why women envy her, and I started not to really like that. And I'm like, wait a minute. Narcissistic traits once again. Narcissistic 101. Praising themselves, trying to like, not intentionally try to like ridicule you or anything, but trying to like make you realize that I need to step up. And there was nothing for me to step up or prove myself. I had my job, I had my car. Yes, I live with my parents, but it's a different reason. I'm saving money. And then she was telling me, she was mentioning that she had a little bit of a problem with my work schedule. And I'm like, excuse me, what do you mean my work schedule? Like, I have to work, what do you want me to do? She technically wanted me to work at a 9-to-5 job, if I could, if we were going to be together, and really start thinking about having a family and being for the kids. But here's the funny part. 9-to-5 job, the job scares has become a real thing in my town because of the economy, the inflation. Okay, and then she kind of told me this like little pattern. So here's something that you have to know about. When you're on a date, and if it's starting to get serious, never change for someone, never be someone different, and never quit anything that you have planned already, because sometimes they're just trying to break you. And this girl, I think she was narcissistic. I think she was kind of trying to break me so she can have a lot of leverage over me. Because like I said, I was younger. I was fit and she wasn't. And her time was running out, so she was desperate. But at the same time, some of these girls, despite that they're pretty, despite that they can find someone else, but they're looking for the best option. She probably saw in me, younger, fit. She did mention she did like me a lot. But if she truly loved me, one thing is she can like me for what she saw from the outside, but not love me for the inside or love me for my traits or personality. But she wanted to have leverage so she can control the situation where I don't have any power, because she wanted me to start working for the family business, lose that confidence, lose all my ambition, because she did criticize my hobbies and my traveling habits, which it was kind of crazy. That's what kind of led me not to go fully engage with this girl. And then she did this little technique where she was going to quit her old job just so she can make me a fool. What I mean a fool is she was trying to fool me. She was like, I found this job close by that we can see each other, because I think I can't put too much detail into this relation, what really happened, but let's say she quit her job that made her travel a lot in the US, and she said that she was filing this application for a job locally. But her tactic was, I want you to do the same, quit your job. Your ambitions are no longer going to be there, and now you're going to have to fully submit to this relationship, which aka submit to me. I didn't do none of that. I told her I'm not going to change for someone anymore. I'm not going to go through the same deal all the time when I'm dating someone. They want to really change me. After that, I told her that I don't have any possibilities at the moment. Guess what she did? After a couple of days, she got bored of me. She blocked me, she ghosted me, and I started laughing myself. I thought, this is what I thought, and this is why I went fully MGTOW. It's not like just because of these bad experiences. I have a lot of proof, which I have to make another video because it's going to take too much time of this particular video, but it's enslaving. If I would have fully committed to her demands, she would have broken me, have leverage, probably divorced me by now. And she wanted me to start thinking about having kids. Okay, let's say I got with her within a year. We moved in somewhere. We decided to have the kid. Maybe she would have got bored of me. She would have probably seen me lame. Like I said, you can have certain traits of looks, and girls can fall for that. But like I said, once you're dating and seeing someone all every day, it's going to get boring. It's going to start, that particular interest going to die out, and your personality, your habits, your customs is going to determine if she's going to be comfortable or uncomfortable, and whether she's going to hate you or not hate you. And I'm pretty sure if I would have been the simp that I was taught to be, I probably would have been miserable, divorced, no money whatsoever, child support, had to be begging to go back to the family business because job is scarce at the moment, or I had to do something out of desperation or whatever. I probably would have been unfit because I probably would have lost access to gyms or anything because money would have been more tight, and a lot of fights constantly with this girl because this girl had a lot of narcissistic traits and she thought she was incredibly intelligent, but she wasn't. She was just, when someone tells me they're good at subjects, okay, yeah, you're intelligent, you have a fast learning ability, but it doesn't guarantee you're intelligent. You're just talented in something. But the way I was talking to her, really realizing her conversation, she wasn't. She was just typical girl that praised herself way too much, had insecurities. We only dated, went on dates for three times. One thing I've learned is I don't buy flowers, I don't buy gifts, not because I'm a misogynistic. I really have to feel your vibe. I have to feel that you really like me. I have to make sure I'm not your last consolation prize. And that's what I was feeling like. And she did complain that I brought her no flowers, but I didn't say anything. I told her that I just didn't know if we were going to be dating or not. And she always emphasized that we were not dating yet until we were sure that we liked each other. So that was my awakening, why I should stay away from relationships, because the last relationship broke me. Almost lost a lot of money, stopped doing all the things that I loved. So the awakening for this year is basically the world's superficial, everything's temporary. Don't follow the crowd. Don't care, don't stress over things that you cannot control. So my advice for you, your awakening spiritual, is you have to learn how to meditate, learn to love yourself, because at the end of the day, it's just you, man. When we die, we're just going to go to our graves alone. Nobody else is coming along. And don't feel petty. Do not feel sad for something that you could not control. Your height, your looks. If you were not successful in dating, don't feel bad, man. Don't stress about it. Don't feel any remorse. Why? You didn't ask to be born. You didn't ask to be unattractive. You didn't ask to be attractive or unattractive or tall or short. It's something that you can't control. If society praises certain looks, certain heights, like I've said, it's just cult mentality. And like I mentioned, it's just temporary. And then, people end up finding out it wasn't what they wanted. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying they didn't want the looks. I'm saying, they end up learning that being together with someone good looking for a long time is not even worth it. It's just temporary. You start to get bored and you want something else. If you don't believe me, look at society. Look at all these celebrities. Look at all these football players that went through horrible stuff. And an example, forgot it, he's an actor. I think he was from the Pirates of the Caribbean actor, and I remember his wife was extremely crazy. I think she did some horrific things in his house, which I'm not going to go into detail. And this is why, like, I have became more more into philosophy, more into other hobbies, and I'm just I'm just ready to discover my mental freedom. I'm just ready to do other things, man. Like, for me, this is why I don't feel defeated or depressed, because I've kind of learned who I am. And I don't know, I've just been feeling this awakening for a long time. It's just I didn't really know what it was. I was having this particular, like, thinking, looking at different things. It was just, I was a little bit scared at the moment because I thought I was just going crazy, but now it's awakening. It's a spiritual awakening. And I don't think this world's going to get any better. It's just going to become extremely artificial, where the life that we used to feel it more real, it's gone now. Like, I was watching this video about, can't remember, what was it about? Technically, it's, a guy that, which it was in Spanish, but, he went from not, from having friends. I'm trying to make memory. Like I think he started when he was a child. He was very outgoing, friends, playing outside, then having the girlfriend where he fall into that technology world. Like he went to video games, pornography, music, and I think he had like a gambling habit. But he was pretty good. He was like, he had his good moments and bad moments. He just worked, came home, and the guy was like noticing that, or not him, but his girlfriend, his wife now. It's like she could no longer understand what happened to him. Like he wasn't cheating on her. He wasn't like interested in someone else. He just technically he wasn't living this very artificial world. Like the only thing he did to cheat on his girl was with the AI girlfriend. I don't remember exactly what he was doing, but it was like technology, new tech porn. And he said, he wanted, he was so obsessed with this world that he forgot how to live real life. Like little by little, he was just living off gambling, living on these particular, I don't know what he exactly did, but everything's changing now. Like I heard about in Japan too, people are marrying specific objects, and that's kind of weird, man. But it's gonna start to really rapidly spread because we are starting to see, that people, a lot of them are not going to be awakened spiritually, or they're not going to critical think. They're just going to follow the crowd that they believe it's popular at the time. Like right now, so let me remind you, back in the early 2010s, progressive, liberal style lifestyles were more popular. People didn't really care to go to the far, go to the right or the far right, or be really interested in religion. And now I started to switch, shift towards the right. So I've been seeing people becoming more religious, more towards the right, and they say that religion woke them up, but a lot of the times they haven't demonstrated to me that they're spiritual. They're just following any crowd. And this is why I don't go to any religion or any church. I'm just do my own thing, and that's my my spiritual side, and I don't force it upon anybody. But that's pretty much for today's video. Like, I know sometimes I'm not organized, so I hope it makes sense. I'm trying to get all my ideas out before I forget about them, because sometimes I will be making videos and I forget to include other small details that came into mind. But I am going to start writing more in speeches, and I'm going to dedicate to other topics too. I want to become more diverse, make it more entertaining, create a community where we can just share our thoughts, man. I would like to know people who had an awakening, because, like, I don't know, like right now, I feel fine. Like I don't have anything anymore. Like I don't feel depressed, mad, frustrated. Like I haven't had a desire to have a girlfriend. I don't really. If I see couples, it's just like the normal thing now. It's like, oh, that's awesome, man. It's like you see a friend and you're happy for them. That's how I feel. Like I don't feel petty for myself that, oh, okay, I'm not with someone, because I truly found out that real freedom is your mental freedom, and sometimes just staying off grid is the best thing you can do, man. Less stress. That's why I buy simple clothes. I buy simple things now. I'm not too materialistic anymore. And I just dedicate to my health, my knowledge, my IQ, my spiritual side. That's it, man. That's where I can live for, man. I just want to have more motives. I don't want to be stagnated. Like, I'd rather be the guy that's single but does a lot of things to fulfill his life, have things to look forward to, compared to some of my friends who are now stuck. They just work, take care of the family, come home, sleep, play video games in the weekend, repeat that cycle into retirement or whenever they can't work anymore. And I don't see any plans. I don't see any future things that they're going to be doing, because they're so stagnated. They don't see beyond past that lifestyle. They're just repeating the cycles of their parents. But I don't want to be that person anymore. I've learned that I'm not meant for that life. But not everybody's going to see this point of view. So I hope you guys liked the video. All right, guys. You guys take care. Peace out. Have a good Sunday.